Good morning. Welcome to the Solo Bureau. It is Friday, and you know what that means. We'll be whipping around Australia and finding out what's been going down in your state or territory this week. From censured premiers to state of origin, it's been a bit of a wild one. But before we get into today's top stories, remember back in week 1 of the Solo Bureau when we spoke to Carmen about her initiative called Winter Glimmers? It's where you put up a string of fairy lights on your front door or on your porch or in the front window. Just one string, nothing fancy. It's to coincide with the shortest day of the year, the winter solstice. Well, that is on Sunday. So go raid your Chrissy lights or grab ones you have lying around the house. Get them out where people can see them. Don't forget to tag Carmen in. Her Instagram is builtlikemeot and hashtag it to Winter Glimmers. It's just a nice thing to do to help lift our spirits this winter. Good for our mental health. Go out for a walk, see if you can see yourself some fairy lights in front windows. All right, it's Friday, June 19. This is what was happening while you were sleeping. This one's going to hit the South Australians pretty hard. AFL legend Tony Modra has been seriously injured in a truck crash near his property south of Adelaide. The 57-year-old was airlifted to hospital after his truck hit a tree at Back Valley, the crash closing the road for several hours. The football legend played for the Adelaide Crows in the 1990s, where his high-flying marks and golden boy looks made him a fan favourite. His heartbreak at injuring himself before the Crows' maiden grand final win in 1997 was shared by supporters, and then again when he missed selection for their 1998 win. After a stint with Fremantle, Modra returned home to SA, where he's still involved with the Crows as an ambassador while working his cattle property. SA Premier Peter Malinauskas led the well wishes, releasing a statement sending his thoughts to Tony and his family. Figures released by the Australian Bureau of Statistics shows net migration into Australia has dropped, but not far enough, according to opposition demands. The figures show 301,000 new Australians landed here in 2025, down slightly from the 2024 numbers of 306,000. That's the lowest it's been since the 556,000 post-COVID peak, but still remains well above the Albanese government's long-term forecast of 225,000 a year. With Conservatives like One Nation using migration as a political tool to win voters, Labor is under pressure to reduce those numbers. US Vice President Vance has declared the 60-day period laid out in the Memorandum of Understanding with Iran as having officially begun. The document, which was signed earlier than expected yesterday, outlines 14 points to end the war between the US, Iran, Israel and Lebanon, including that Iran promises not to create nuclear weapons, while the US would end the naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz and remove sanctions against Iran, allowing them to sell oil. It's been reported that 3 Saudi-flagged supertankers carrying 6 million barrels of crude oil sailed through the strait just hours after President Trump signed the deal. During the 60 days, negotiators are expected to tackle some of the most contentious and unresolved issues that were left open in the initial accord. These include key questions surrounding Iran's nuclear program and the future of its stockpile of highly enriched uranium. Vance says they believe that stockpile will be taken care of.
Well, first of all, they've made very concrete nuclear commitments. They have committed to the destruction of the highly enriched stockpile that they have in their possession.
Ukrainian drones have hit Moscow, damaging the Russian capital's oil refinery for the second time in days in a move to force Russia to accept a peace deal. Russia also fired missiles into Kyiv following an attack that damaged the Ukrainian city's landmark 1,000-year-old monastery, drawing international condemnation. After years of Russian forces making slow but relentless gains on the battlefield, Kyiv says its improving drone capabilities are now shifting the war's momentum in its favour, providing new motivation for Moscow to agree to a peace deal. The Socceroos are hoping to propel themselves straight to the knockout stage of the World Cup. All they have to do is defeat the US on their home soil. After beating Turkey 2-0 in their opening game, the Aussies can secure their spot in the last 32 knockout round by winning just 2 games, because the 8 best third-place teams progress alongside the winners and runners-up from the 12 groups. The Socceroos play their American co-hosts at 5 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time tomorrow in Seattle. That's it for headlines today. If you're jumping out right now, enjoy your weekend. Make sure you get subscribed to the Solo Bureau Substack if you're scrolling this weekend. We're sharing stories over there, so get in on the action. I'm also looking for contributors. So if you have a story you'd like to pitch me, go for it. But you got to get subscribed to the Solo Bureau first on Substack. Next, strap in. We are starting in WA today as we tap into every state and territory to get the latest. Okay, let's find out what's been happening around the country today. Starting in WA, Gina Reinhardt's company, Hancock Iron Ore, has confirmed they're about to cut jobs at the Roy Hill mine. While no figure has been confirmed, there's reports it could be in the hundreds, some saying as high as 500. The company says they've just recently finished a review into the business and are now working to optimise processes. In a statement to the ABC, Hancock Iron Ore said that the optimisation of the mining plan would see the life of the mine extended by 10 years while maximising the ore body and reducing waste. In New South Wales, experts say a cull of great white sharks off the coast won't reduce the risk of attacks because the animals cover vast distances while migrating. The call to decrease shark numbers came after 35-year-old Leah Stewart was mauled by a suspected great white close to shore at Coogee Beach in Sydney's east on the weekend. Her family have revealed that the teacher and mum has had to have one of her arms amputated and remains in a critical condition. The Minns government has ruled out any cull of the great whites, but Chris Minns himself said this week that bull sharks posed a real threat to people in the harbour and are not a protected species. The government is currently undertaking a bull shark head count to see whether numbers are on the rise and what that might mean for those of us who use water in the area. Allied health workers walked off the job in Victoria this week over a pay dispute causing delays at public hospitals. Those services involved in the industrial action included radiographers, sonographers, physios, social workers, speech pathologists and podiatrists. The union representing them are asking for a 36.18% wage increase over 3 years, but say discussions with the Victorian government have resulted in their words, insulting and disrespectful wage offers. Medical scientist Sarah was at the march and says her profession and others like it need to be allowed to keep up with other relevant medical pay packets.
We deserve to keep up with the cost of living as well. There's thousands of us here. I couldn't even guess how many. What kind of power? Union power! We need to be on parity with the nurses and other professionals in health, and we'll keep coming back.
That audio courtesy of VAPA social media. A bill to restrict late-term abortion in South Australia has been voted down in the lower house. After less than 2 hours of debate, the bill, introduced by Family First MP Sarah Game, calling for abortions performed after 25 weeks to be banned, was voted down 36-9. Premier Peter Malinauskas voted in favour of the bill, as did opposition leader Ashton Hearn and One Nation. The Greens voted against it, and both the Liberal and Labor MPs were granted a conscience vote on the matter. The bill, with an amendment allowing the procedure for fetal abnormalities, passed the upper house 10 votes to 9, the furthest an anti-abortion bill has gone in the South Australian Parliament. South Australia allows abortion after 23 weeks after receiving approval from 2 doctors who would need to sign off that the pregnancy would involve significant risk of injury to the physical or mental health of the pregnant person. Premier Jeremy Rockliff has become Tasmania's first leader to ever be censured in Parliament. The motion, which was put forward by the Greens and supported along with several independents, comes after 2 government ministers resigned recently, both under a cloud of suspicion. Madeleine Ogilvie, who's held several portfolios in the past 4 years, decided to move to the backbench after being accused of misleading Parliament during budget estimates. She was asked if she was involved in any Supreme Court action, which she denied, but just weeks later it was revealed she was, and that she herself had initiated the proceedings. Then Racing Minister Jane Howlett resigned from Cabinet, saying it was due to relentless personal and political attacks from opposition parties. She'd been under pressure to move to the backbench over more than $400,000 in taxpayer money being used to pay her personal legal fees, and then questions over conflicting reports on what her office knew about a breach of caretaker mode at the last election. The Greens accused Premier Rockliff of failing to ensure his Cabinet upholds the ministerial code of conduct. The censure is largely a symbolic motion and carries no penalty. A former Northern Territory legal aid worker who was found in bed asleep with a teenage convicted murderer after helping him escape has pleaded guilty to perverting the course of justice. 37-year-old Samantha Alampi was accused of assisting the man who cannot be identified. She was caught on CCTV taking the 19-year-old into a room she'd booked at a hotel in Alice Springs after telling his parole officer that she didn't know where he'd gone and later saying she'd guessed he'd be in Darwin by now. The next day, she went to the hostel where he'd been staying and packed up his belongings, taking them to another hotel. The CCTV footage captured the teenager in the car park following her inside. Alampi will be back in court for sentencing on June 29. To the ACT, an accused war criminal, Ben Robert-Smith, has had his bail conditions varied so he can attend a function at the Australian War Memorial in Canberra next week. Robert-Smith has been on bail since April after he was charged with 5 counts of war crime murder relating to his deployment in Afghanistan in 2009 and 2012. He was placed on bail after a Sydney court found it would likely take years for the case to be heard. Part of his bail conditions restricts travel. Mr Robert Smith asking to be allowed to head to Canberra for the opening of a gallery space at the Anzac Atrium on Tuesday. Prosecutors didn't oppose the bail changes but are concerned it may lead to him accidentally breaching another condition about coming into contact with potential Crown witnesses. Mr Robert Smith's lawyers also asked if he could attend a military graduation and a gathering afterwards in Singleton and Newcastle, which was declined by the judge. I guess for Queenslanders this week, it's been all about winning Game 2 of State of Origin in Melbourne to ensure Game 3 didn't end up being a dead rubber. Game 3 will be held at Suncorp Stadium on July 8. The Queensland State Government this week announcing plans for the stadium's biggest upgrade since it was built. The government's Legacy Fund will see the scoreboards upsized, a full 360 LED ribbon board installed hanging from the roof, 2 huge media screens and new entertainment zones to fit more fans. This comes after the Crisafulli government earlier this year announced a number of concerts that can be held at the venue could be upped from 12 to 21 per year. The upgrades are poised to start at the end of this year and be complete in time for Brisbane to host the 2027 Rugby World Cup. And we're done for the week, team. Great job at getting yourselves through to Friday. Hope you have some fun weekend plans ahead of you, or, I don't know, just enjoy some couch rot time with a nice cup of tea where maybe you'll just drop a review of the Solo Bureau into your favourite podcast app. Just checking. You know what it can do. Either way, stay safe. Catch you on Monday.